What up YouTube? Today is Saturday, February 2nd. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning right now. I'm catching the sunrise and we are in Cork, Ireland. So the purpose of this trip so far hasn't at all been for photography. I'm here actually on a work trip, so I haven't really had much of a chance to get out and shoot, but today that's gonna change. So this morning I'm kind of just walking around Cork to get a couple photos during the sunrise. I've actually been shooting a lot this trip on the new film camera that I bought a couple of weeks ago. It's been a lot of fun shooting analog film just because I'm not really sure if any of the photos have come out good yet, but I'm super excited to find out what they look like in a couple of weeks or a couple of days when they get developed. So I'm gonna run around Cork for the next like 30 or 40 minutes or so, enjoy the sunrise, and then I'm actually popping on a bus tour to tour around like the southern part of Ireland. So I'm super excited for that. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm definitely gonna take you guys along with me. Let's go. Now this place is awesome. It's called the Old Head of Kinsale, and it's essentially this massive peninsula that juts out into the ocean. There's massive cliffs on both sides. It's unreal, it's absolutely beautiful. Now it's like 10:30 a.m. at this point, so the lighting isn't ideal for photos. I wish I could be here for something like a sunset or a sunrise. I don't necessarily think the photos I'm gonna take right now are gonna be perfect, but I'm gonna take them nonetheless. And I'm really just gonna take in the sights and try to enjoy myself a little bit. We've officially made it to the town of Kinsale. It's this really nice town, like in the southeast corner of Ireland. It's right on the water, so there's a bunch of boats here that I've been taking pictures of. There's actually this really cool scene right behind me of these boats that are kind of washed up because it's low tide right now. I'm gonna try to get a couple photos of those. I'm gonna take a couple with my digital camera so I can show you while I'm editing this video. And I'm also gonna take a couple with my film camera just because film's fun. One of the most important things to do when you're a photographer is to do plenty of research on a location when it's your first time going there. I completely missed out on doing that this week. I was so tied up with work that I didn't really even think to do it. So right now I'm just basically shooting in the dark, just running around this town, trying to figure out what's the best stuff to shoot without knowing really anything about this place at all. Sometimes this happens, and sometimes you end up going to a place last minute, or you didn't think you were gonna go to a location at all. And honestly, the best thing that you can do in those situations is just make the best of it, do some exploring, and try to find the best spots you can to take photos. However, if you have the opportunity to do research before going to a location, I absolutely recommend doing it. It teaches you the history of the place so you can figure out what's the most important landmarks, the most important things to shoot in that town, and also if there's some significant photo spots that are already discovered by other people, it gives you a good idea as to where you should search and where you should go look to take photos. I'm gonna run around for like another 15 or 20 minutes. We have lunch reservations at noon, so I'm gonna take a couple more photos, and then I think we're gonna get back on the bus and drive a little bit more around the countryside. We just drove about an hour north from Kinsale up to a town called Cove, and there's this awesome view behind this wall right here. You can kind of see it behind me. It's basically these really colorful houses in front of the cathedral, so I'm gonna pull out my Fujifilm and pull out my Nikon and try to take a couple of pictures of it, and we'll see how those come out. So it turns out that the scene is actually way too wide to shoot with either my Fuji or my Nikon camera with the lenses they have on, so I just shot it with this camera, which has way wider of a lens. It worked out perfectly. I'm super happy with it, and I think it came out great. Super quick trip to Cove. We're wrapping everything up right now. One of the really interesting things about this town actually is that it's the very last stop that the Titanic took before it crashed into that iceberg, whatever it was, 100 years or so ago. Right behind me here is actually where the Titanic itself docked. There's a whole museum and a whole experience tour in there. A bunch of people from my team are in there right now doing that. So as soon as they're done with that, we're actually gonna head up north a little bit further to the Jameson Distillery and check out what's going on up there. What up YouTube? YouTube? It's like 5 days since you last saw me. After filming all day on Saturday, I pretty much just crashed that night. The next morning, I actually packed my bags and then drove about 2 or 3 hours north to Limerick, which is where I am right now. I've spent pretty much this whole week in the office and haven't really had much of a chance to shoot, but today we're gonna change that and we're going to a whole bunch of cool places today. I feel like this video has kind of bounced from place to place with no real cohesive story, but that's pretty much the gist of what we've done. We've gone from location to location super quick, and we haven't really focused on visiting a single spot. We're just kind of trying to see as much of the country as we can in a very short couple of days. My preferred way of sightseeing is to pick one place or maybe even 2 places and go to those places for a long period of time, figure out exactly what I want to see, exactly how I want to photograph it, and really take in that single location. We haven't really done a ton of that. We've been bouncing from place to place, like I said, but you can't really complain. This is definitely not bad for a business trip. Today we're heading up to the cliffs of Moher. I think we're also checking out the Elwee Caves and maybe 1 or 2 of the beaches along the coast in Ireland. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be awesome. I'm hoping to get some dope pictures, and I'm gonna take you along for the ride. Let's get right into it. The cliffs right now, but the weather has been horrible, so I haven't really been focusing on filming a lot. I've been trying to just get a lot of good photos, so I'm gonna stop filming right now, focus on getting photos, and I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. Alright YouTube, I'm wrapping up the day here. We spent the rest of the day going up and down the coast, checking out the different sites. We saw a couple lighthouses. Obviously the cliffs of Moher were probably the coolest thing that I saw for this entire trip. Right now we're at a spot called the Elwee Caves. My team is actually inside checking those out right now, but I'm gonna stay out here and check out this sunset and see if anything cool happens over this valley. I'm gonna wrap up the video for now right here, but I need to fly home in a couple of hours back to Boston, so I'm going to go home, pack up my bags, get back to Boston, and then I'll talk to you after I've edited these photos. See you in a bit. What up YouTube? We are finally back in Boston. I'm super happy to be back and edit all these photos together and this video together. I'm only here for about 48 hours though before I'm back on the road, so I'm using any spare time I could possibly create to edit all of this together for you guys. It's actually about 5:45 a.m. right now, so if I look a little bit tired, it's probably because I am a little bit tired. The past 2 weeks were awesome, both work-wise and photography-wise. I did my best to record all the exploring we did and also take a whole bunch of good photos, some of which you've already seen. But to wrap things up, I want to go through some of my favorite photos from the trip and show you exactly what I was thinking behind a couple of those photos. The first one right here is an obvious one, the cliffs of Moher. This is kind of like the standard shot that everybody gets when they go to Ireland, so I tried to differentiate it a little bit in the edit. I darkened up all the colors, made it really contrasty, dehazed the sky a little bit, and tried to give it a very moody, dark look. I personally really like this image and already threw it up on Instagram, so if you want to get in there and zoom in on it and check it out a bit more, absolutely do so. The next shot is a shot that I took at a place called The Burn. The Burn is this place that apparently during the Ice Age was carved out by glaciers, so it's completely barren of any grass. It's just basically sheer rocks that have like different carving marks through them that you can see where the icebergs most likely came down during the Ice Age to create this place. We took a really quick stop right on the ocean where the water crashes up on the rocks in the Burn. I was able to snap this shot of my buddy Sean right as a wave was crashing in. There actually wasn't really much of a sunset during this time, but I used the techniques that I showed in my last editing video to pull off this look. So if you want to understand exactly how I got this look and made it look like a sunset, even though there wasn't a sunset, check out that last video. So far from what I've edited, these are my 2 favorite shots. The one thing that I want to note though is that I spent way more time shooting on my film camera than I did shooting on my digital camera. I actually sent out 4 rolls for development and scanning yesterday, so I'm super excited to see what photos I got on my film camera. I'm really hoping I have some solid keepers on that film camera. Once I get all of my film back, once it's all developed, I'll make sure to make a video going through all the photos that I got from that as well. As I mentioned before, this was a work trip and not a photo trip. Although I really want to get back to Ireland on a dedicated photo trip because there's a ton of places that we went that were incredible that I'd love to just sit down at during a sunset, camp it out, and see what kind of photos I can get with a little bit better light and things like that. Anyways, I want to wrap it up right here. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button as well. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the photos, what photos were your favorite, and maybe what you want to see in my next video. Anyways, thank you again for watching. I appreciate it big time, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.